We wouldn't, Michelle.
No,
We wouldn't.
No.
talking about apples or something silly.
Yeah.
All right, it's 6 o'clock. Welcome to the Royce Administration Building. We are here for a special call board meeting, the Jessamine County Board of Education. Mr. Moore, would you like to call roll?
Yes, sir. Board Chair Stephen Scribner.
Here.
Vice Chair Denise Adams.
Here.
Amy Day. Deborah Hood.
Here.
Bobby Welch.
Here.
We have 4 present. We have a quorum.
All right, being a special call meeting, there can be no revisions to the agenda, so I'll make a motion. We approve the agenda as is.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. All right, Mr. Moore, the floor is yours to talk about revisions to the 2021 school calendar.
Yes. Just a reminder, what we did to come to the conclusion that this was the best option is did send out the survey to the families. I think it's been about 3 weeks ago to get some input from them. We've met with the calendar committee, which is comprised of a balance across our district to include classified, certified staff, people from the community, a couple board members on that, as well as myself and some administrators. And we drafted 3 different calendar options in addition to the calendar that you guys approved in December. Then took that information and carried on conversations with our school administrators and directors, really focused not necessarily on the calendar that they preferred the most. It was more of a focus on the calendar that we felt like was going to be the one that would be most effective for the instruction, given all of the circumstances with COVID-19, and then also really appreciating the fact that we were going to have to do quite a few things with all of our staff to prepare. And to just give you a little bit of a understanding of that, at the beginning of the year, we typically have about 3 days for teachers to set up their room and do required professional developments, and that's a pretty busy 3 days. But what we think we're going to have to do training-wise to prepare for this year also includes lunch operations, hallway expectations, how we're going to manage bus operations, the use of masks for our students and staff, temperature checks, office operations, our cleaning guidelines for all of our facilities and our buses, classroom expectations, and setups. Teachers are going to have to really redesign their classrooms to make sure they're meeting the social distancing requirements. And then we also have a lot to do with just reorganization after families pick virtual or traditional models. And then we will have guidelines for staff that have their own individual concerns and work with them on that. We're going to have to redesign our tracking system for attendance. And then we are developing the plans for our virtual academy to make sure that that instruction really runs parallel to the instruction that's going on in the classroom, so that if students transition from the virtual model to the traditional, the families can rest assured that they've covered those power standards and they're not getting behind. And then the other big layer is the social emotional instruction that's going to be tied to COVID-19, obviously, and then some of the challenges that we're having with race-based stresses going on. So there's quite a bit that we need to do. So when we looked at the calendar, again, it wasn't just the focus on the instructional piece, but we wanted to make sure that we were prepared for all the safety components and the adjustments that we needed to make. So I think everyone has seen the copy. There hasn't been any revision. I shared with you guys twice. Y'all need a...
Yeah, can we send copies now?
Actually, I may. This,
I have it on my phone.
Me too.
yeah, this is the only paper one I have.
I've got one.
Yeah, I've got one I can talk off of.
Okay.
Yeah. So I shared with you guys the 3 models, our sample calendars that we were considering. And after getting feedback from everyone and talking about what was best for us making this transition, I'm making the recommendation that we use the boat dock bill, which gives us the flexibility to not have necessarily 170 instructional days, but a move to a 167-day calendar, which would mean that students would start on August 26th. And we would still be able to keep our fall, winter, and spring break. And then the last day of school would be May 25th. And what this would allow us to do is add an additional 6 days for our staff. So our staff would return to work on August 12th, and we would have from August 12th to August 25th to cover the trainings and the things that I'd identified to you just a moment ago. So it's my recommendation that you consider this as our calendar moving forward.
Does that include, and you may have said this, does that include an extended day? The
The
167?
10-minute day,
10 minutes.
extra 10 minutes.
No, we considered that model, but what we decided is to just go ahead and have a couple additional days of school. So that's why we went to May 25th as opposed to May 21st.
Okay.
Make sure we include the
Oh, yeah, okay.
May I share this with the audience?
Yes.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
So if the numbers really spike, this could all change, who knows?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we are going to have a couple plans, and if we do see a spike to where it is a recommendation at the state level that we need to start virtually, then that would be something we would consider doing. But as far as the calendar itself, even if we did have that spike and couldn't start with the models that we're exploring, we would still try to start on August 26th virtually.
So if a child comes to school and possibly has COVID and is sent home, does that put 2 weeks on the other kids in the classroom? Or how does that work?
So if we were to have somebody that has contact with someone that tests positive, or we have a particular student that tests positive, the first thing that we'll do is notify the health department. And then we have a team at Jessamine County Schools that works side by side with them, and they do the contact tracing to identify all of the individuals that may need to be separated or self-quarantine. And I'm glad you asked this question, because the state has also given us a unique flexibility that they haven't given us in the past. So if we were to have a class that was maybe subjected, or a school, we wouldn't have to necessarily shut the entire county down. We could switch that particular class or that particular school to NTI for the 14-day quarantine.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, so it
really
does,
good.
yeah.
It
And
really
in a lot of cases, even if
Mhm.
they initiate a 14-day quarantine, if they test the student and determine that they're not positive, then they'll reverse that
Okay.
and allow them to transition back more quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, so the state's been very helpful in creating a lot of flexibility for us to be able to manage those situations.
Any other comments or questions? All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the revisions to the calendar as presented by the superintendent tonight.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. All right. Mr. Welch?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh,
no,
I'm sorry.
You had something
We have
to
a
say.
board communication.
I looked down at the,
Bobby.
I looked down, I'm sorry, Denise,
I thought
go
Bobby
ahead.
was
You
gonna
even-
launch into
no.
a.
I know too.
No, you even said
Look,
something.
he only calls on me for 1 minute.
Bobby's really got something
No,
important to
no, I'm
say.
sorry, Denise, you even
okay.
said something, I looked down at the
I had a
agenda.
parent today that I've been communicating with, and she would like me to convey to Superintendent Teresa Moberly that she felt like you all went above and beyond. I think you directed Teresa to call her back about some information, and Teresa did that and gave her information about future board meetings. But I felt like it was worth mentioning here.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I know that this has been a question that was asked from Denise today, and that you guys were eager to hear some of this information too, so I wanted to go ahead and let you know, planning on sending out a communication to our staff and the families tonight, and we'll include the calendar approval, and then also know that next week I'll send out a communication just describing the different options for the parents, and then we'll send out an email that will quickly follow that that will give guidance to them on making their selection if they do want to do a virtual or traditional. And we are going to give them a couple weeks because that's a big family decision. But I just wanted you guys to know because that was a question that you guys had. So this is the start of the information that everybody's been looking for. And next week they'll get, I think, a whole lot more.
One more question.
Yeah, sure.
At some point, will there be more conversation about, you mentioned the race issues that our country is dealing with. Is that going to be is there going to be any more issues or any more conversations with us about plans for that? Or?
And I can definitely put that on our next agenda if you guys would like to hear what we're doing. But yeah, we do have a really strong team that's working on that, and we are a year and a half into a 3-year initiative on culturally responsive teaching and learning.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like we have done a lot to prepare, but we still have a lot of work to do. But I'll definitely look for that opportunity maybe at our next work session so that you guys can hear a little bit more.
I'm done.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. Those say no. All right, 6:11.